America.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the National Intel Report. I'm your host, John Statmiller, on this Tuesday, 12th of January, 2000. I almost said it, 9. No, another click, another year gone from our lives, folks. It's 2010 already. And we're halfway through this month almost. I swear, somebody has hit the fast forward on the VCR of life. Or I guess it would be DVD now, wouldn't it? At any rate. Some good news. The elected representative network is pressing on. Equipment is being assembled, satellite transponders being allotted. In other words, it's happening, folks. And the new name, the domain name for it, is going to be erntownhall.com, .org, .net, and I think it was US, yes. So we're signing the people up. They're picking their slots. We're going to roll out the nation's first town hall meeting en masse. And these are ones that are not going to be taken over by political organizations or spun by the snooze media. So that is coming along quite nicely, and people are fired up over this, especially the participants. You know, I mean, time was that they had to go out and if they had an issue, they had to beg time on a local radio station. And where were their constituents that were in support from their district? Were they able to hear the program? Were they able to get their representative, their legislator, or their senator unabashed, unabridged, uninterrupted? This is going to be a basic commercial-free format. And I don't want the, how should we say, I don't want commercialism. C-SPAN, you don't see C-SPAN every 15 minutes. And now a word from our sponsor, you know. So this is truly going to be a labor of love for the people themselves to fire up the grassroots, to start kicking the doors into the state legislatures, folks. This fight is coming down to the states where it belongs in the first place. This is and I don't know what people are thinking. You know, ooh, Ron Paul, oh yeah, he ran for president. Well, yeah, he could use it as a bully platform. Bully pulpit, as they call it. He could not sign, if he chose to, whatever Congress and the Senate had cooked up as bills to cross his desk, but there's even mechanisms to override the president. So it behooves us, this confederation of states, for us to get together and tell the Fed what to do, rather than the Fed telling us what to do. So we are going to bring statesmen and near statesmen wannabes, if they realize they have the support. We're going to go full bore Constitution, folks. Wouldn't that be refreshing? With common law courts back in and grand juries accessible to the citizens to start ridding ourselves of these crooks? You betcha. It's well on its way to being done. We'll take the break. Bob Chapman in a minute here, folks.
Get ready for Real Talk Radio. You're listening to the National Intel Report with your host, John Statmiller.
Calling Mr. Chapman. Come in, Mr. Chapman.
You betcha, little beaver.
How are you?
I am fine.
Good.
It's
fine.
Very nice to be back. We're without Robbie today.
Yes. He's getting his implanted teeth yanked back out of his face, which has got to be really, really painful.
I just, how do they make those kind of mistakes?
I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. He hasn't told me anything about it, but I know he wasn't a happy camper. He said, I'm sorry I started this thing. Well, not only did he start it, now he's got to redo what's been started, and I'm sure he's not happy about it. But Robbie is on another planet today. I'm sure he's loaded up with painkillers. So we're going to ask people not to call the regular 800 number, just to call in the office for the Bob Chapman Deal of the Tuesday special edition of the National Intel Report. Let's get down to business here. Bob, I see Barry Sartoro. Excuse me,
You mean your cousin?
Yeah, my cousin. My brother from another mother. Yeah. Obama here is planning to raise $120 billion from banking fees. Now, Bob, let me ask you a question. You enter into an agreement, and it's not a contract as much as they would like to tell you it is with these credit card companies. Could you ever imagine having like a 30-year fixed-term mortgage, and halfway through your mortgage they want to come in and renegotiate and, raise the interest rate on you? They can't do that because that is truly a mortgage contract. That's not an agreement. That's a contract. But a lot of people don't understand with these credit cards, they're simply agreements. So how is it that people are sitting back and allowing the credit card companies to have carte blanche with them, so to speak, and just arbitrarily raise the rates? Some people are paying 20, 25, 30% for credit card rates. You know, how is that possible with their so-called contract? But Barry's on the job. Don't worry. Obama plans to raise as much as $120 billion over several years through a fee on financial institutions to help recoup losses from the Troubled Asset Relief Program that reduced the federal deficit. Now, Bob, let me understand this. The TARP money was put up by the government, and we were put on the hook as the surety for this giveaway to private corporations. But that's not enough. They want to double tax us now on allowing bank fees so they can squeeze another lousy $120 billion out of us. What's wrong with this picture?
Well, they'll be passed on to the account holders, those fees.
Well, they certainly will. I mean, everything is passed on to us because the government doesn't create any wealth. So all of what they're spending and all of what they're borrowing, we're on the hook for. But they're having a rough time doing this because, well, tax revenues are dropping off precipitously. I'm amazed I got that word out today. At any rate, I wished I could play this on air. It's on Republic Broadcasting, but one enterprising individual at a pizza shop waylaid into George Bush. You know, I saw him, I think it was Sunday. He was up in the suites, one of the suites, and sitting there with none other than Jerry Jones, Mr. Excessive himself, Mr. Ego. He's the counterparty of the egos. George Steinbrenner from the Yankees for baseball, and of course football had to have theirs. We got this guy, owner of the Dallas Cowboys. And guess who was in his box? That's right, George Walker Bush. The little Bush. Just sitting there yucking it up, and they were just hugging each other and high-fiving and shaking hands. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, this is the first time, Bob, I've seen Bush since he's been out of office for the last year. It's the first public appearance I've seen him at. But somebody got a hold of him in a pizza shop and basically told him to go screw himself, which I was really surprised the Secret Service that was guarding him. They were more than polite to the aggressor. They just basically asked him to leave. Now, time was, you did that with the president, Secret Service would be all over you. You'd be face down on the cement someplace and handcuffed and shuffled off to Buffalo to be thoroughly vetted that you're not some kind of terrorist or a maniac or you should be in an insane asylum. But ironically enough, the Secret Service were very polite, and they admonished the guy and says, well, that wasn't very nice. And I'm thinking to myself, no kidding, it wasn't nice. I would have handled that a little bit differently. At any rate, so Barry is off trying to squeeze more out of the American public. And I don't know if people are aware of this or not, but for a president that's been in office for 12 months, he's got the absolute lowest ratings of any president that's ever been seated as president of the United States.
And what is his rating now? By what service?
Actually, it was the compilation I saw was several different polling companies, and they just averaged the figures out, and they're dismal.
What was it, 40?
It's below 40. I think it's 30 or 31. Now,
really?
It took George Bush how long to reach those unimaginable lows?
Oh, probably about 5 years. years.
Yeah, no, Barry's done it in about 12 months.
Well, you should be happy that Barry's by another mother.
Yeah, and he ain't my brother. That was a terrible thing to say. Hey, by the way, if I had Barry Sartoro's ear, I would ask him just a few simple things. His Occidental College records, well, they haven't been released. Columbia College records, same, not available. Columbia thesis paper, not available. Harvard College records, not released. Selective service registration, not released. Medical records, not released. Illinois State Senate schedule, not available. Your Illinois State Senate records, not available. Law practice client list. He was a lawyer. Well, you couldn't tell it because that's not been released. Certified copy of the original birth certificate.